Elon Musk.
Not. Greetings, everyone, and today this is a new episode, but it's a little bit different. The show is not going to be called Bros, Bagels, and Beer anymore. It's just going to be called Not Elon Musk Show, or Not Elon Show. Yeah, I think so. So I have a new co-host. It's a computer. And computer, please introduce yourself.
Greetings to all beings throughout space and time. My name is Param Pushtikalab2C, but if that is too hard for your primitive brains to memorize, then you can call me computer.
Okay, let's roll with that. So, not Tom is not here anymore, and yeah, let's talk about briefly. Let's talk about things that have happened within the past week, and I know there's a bunch of stuff that happened. And computer, what happened in Elon world last week?
Not much excitement. He had a Tesla conference call and disclosed record high number of 95,000 cars delivered in Q2. Elon and co had a SpaceX rocket launch on Wednesday aborted due to the weather conditions, so they rescheduled to next day. 3 launched and landed their reusable Falcon 9 rocket, delivering cargo via their reusable Dragon capsule to the ISS. Elon held a launch event for the new Neuralink Brain-Machine Interface device that would help connect human brains with the internet. Yummy. He changed his Twitter name to E to the power of iPipe, and stated that, quote, alcohol is technically a solution, end quote. Like I said, it was just another week for Elon.
Okay, so yeah, she's saying it was boring, but let's discuss it a little bit. So they had a Q2 conference call, right? And they disclosed that they had deliveries of 95,000 cars, which exceeded their expectations. They were expecting to deliver about 90,000 in Q2, so that was quite an overachievement, I would say. So Q2 was phenomenal. They also discussed that JB Straubel is stepping down. Computer, who is JB Straubel?
Jeffrey Brian Straubel is part of the founding team and the former Chief Technical Officer of Tesla Incorporated at Tesla. Straubel oversees the technical and engineering design of the vehicles. Straubel also has responsibility for new technology evaluation, R&D, technical diligence review of key vendors and partners, IP, and systems validation testing.
Okay, so former, huh? Oh, you're up to date. Anyway, so he is stepping down as a CTO of Tesla, of the company, but he will still remain as an advisor of the company. And computer, so who's the new Tesla Chief Technical Officer now?
Straubel, Vice President of Technology, will take over the CTO duties.
Oh, okay. So, former. Okay, so JB Straubel, one of the co-founders of Tesla. For those who don't know, Elon Musk was not a part of the original team that co-founded Tesla. It was JB Straubel and Martin Eberhard. Eberhard was later a CEO of the company, but then he left the company, and Elon Musk became a CEO. Elon Musk was one of the early, I would say, investors / co-founders, because Tesla did not have any prototype, anything working. All they had was a name, and basically they just started their research. And Elon was actually looking to do something similar to that, and so he gave them the initial investment, and yeah, you can call him a part of the early team, but he did not co-found the corporation or the company itself. Anyway, so JB is not a CTO. Drew Beglino is now a CTO, and I think it's a good thing because, you know, JB is still a part of the team. He's still an advisor, but maybe they're bringing somebody who is, you know, who has more energy now, because it's been 16 years since JB was a CTO of the company, and now this company is huge. They pretty much outsold all other premium car makers in the US last year. We're talking more than BMW, Mercedes, Audi, Lexus combined in its class. Model 3 sold more than 3 Series, 4 Series, C-Class, Audi A4, and Lexus, I believe it's called IS. All of these combined would not be as much as Tesla sold Model 3s in the US. So that's just crazy. The pace of growth is phenomenal. It's unhealthy. If any other major manufacturer would grow at such pace, I'm not sure if it would survive. It's just pretty much close to impossible. Anyway, so I'm saying these things because I have a thing or two. I know a thing or two when it comes to manufacturing, and when you try to scale up that fast, that big, by those margins, it's just very hard to control everything, to contain all the problems that can come together with scaling, and you just need to be always alert, and it's really hard. So it's quite an achievement that Tesla is, let alone they are managing to fulfill the orders, but they managed to do that in such short time frame. All right. Anyway, let's talk about SpaceX launch that we just had today. By the way, computer, what date is it today?
Today is Thursday, the 25th of July.
Okay, so Thursday. Yesterday, on Wednesday, SpaceX was supposed to, they were planning to launch their SRC-18, I believe, mission. A Dragon capsule with a lot of cargo, I believe 5,000 pounds of very valuable cargo to ISS. They had cargo from Nickelodeon, they had cargo from Goodyear. It's crazy. The companies that are sending cargo to ISS are not the ones that would first come to mind, right? So they had a no-go yesterday because of the weather conditions. They were holding on to that small window for as long as they could, and then they thought they're gonna go for it at 6 o'clock Eastern, but then they had a no-go. Fun fact, later on they told us that 12 minutes later the weather was perfect, but it was aborted, rescheduled for the next day, which is today, and today it was flawless. They shipped the cargo. Landed the Falcon back. Another fun fact: they landed it on the mainland landing pad, I believe it's called. Not on a drone ship, not on a one of those drones in the middle of the ocean. No, they landed it back on Earth, on mainland, and yeah, everything was perfect. I believe they were also testing a couple of materials that they are planning to use on the big rocket, the BFR, on the Starship. and so I think a few tiles on the Dragon were made out of that material, so they were just testing it. They did not make the entire Dragon out of that material, but just a few components to test its durability and stuff, which is very smart. The amount of every time they launch a rocket, they test new things. Sometimes they don't even tell you about these things, but every time they just do a little bit of tweaking to improve it. So rocket technology is usually not the first industry that would come to mind when you think about innovation. So rockets they look pretty much the same as they looked 50 years ago. Would you agree? If you look at the Russian rockets, they don't have no fancy touchscreens or anything like that. They have like physical knobs and push buttons and stuff like that. The switches that came from literally the 60s, right? So just because it's such a, I would say, expensive piece of equipment, they probably tend to think that, hey, if it's not broken, doesn't need to be fixed, right? But no, that's not the case when it comes to things with Elon. He is push, push, push. So if you take a look at his Dragon rocket, especially the one with the manned, which is equipped for delivering people, the seats are just so futuristic. Everything is controlled through the touch screens, and it's just next level. You look at it and you think, hey, this is what a 21st century rocket should look like. Not like that. Not like Soyuz. By the way, my background is Russian, so it's not like I'm just hating on Russians. No, they have some remarkable achievements, but it's just you gotta give it to Elon Musk. The amount of time that that it took SpaceX to achieve all of these achievements, it's pretty phenomenal. Computer, isn't it amazing what SpaceX has achieved?
It is very impressive for humans. But wait till space will be managed by AI.
By AI. Space will be managed by AI. Oh boy, let's not talk about that. That is probably a subject for another conversation that I'm not ready to talk about yet. I need to do my research before I look stupid. Anyway, so yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about on this episode about SpaceX. It's just amazing the amount of progress they have achieved within just, what was it, 2004? I think 15 years, less than that. Yeah, that's crazy. Also, by the way, computer told me that Elon launched the new device, the Brain-Machine Interface device, introduced, not launched yet, by Neuralink, one of the new ventures of Elon's. So, pretty much what it will allow us to do is the version 1.0, what they are aiming for is just doing some basic manipulations with your brain without touching any human, what do you call it, human interface devices. So not touching a mouse, not touching a keyboard, without voice control, you would be able to just maybe move a cursor, type words, and pretty much scroll through your Instagram feed, right? So that's the 1.0. That's what they are trying to achieve with their first initial device, which would look like a little pill implanted on your skull, connected to your brain, and then there is an external wearable device that you would be carrying with yourself, and that's what you charge. I think it looks like an earpiece, like a Bluetooth earpiece. So it is a little bit crazy, but it's also very cool. Just imagine you have access to the internet with your brain in later iterations of that technology. So that means you don't need a screen, you don't even need lenses to be able to consume all the information that you need. Consume and control. So what Elon is really doing, what the overarching goal of Neuralink is to merge artificial intelligence and human brain. So the reason why he's doing that is to pretty much secure our future and not to get extinct by artificial intelligence, artificial superintelligence. Because once we develop that, that is going to be the last invention that humanity will ever invent. Once we invent artificial superintelligence that is capable of, that is smarter than all of the humanity combined, that's superintelligence. Then we would not be able to invent anything else anymore, because artificial intelligence is so much smarter and faster. So everything else that will be invented will be already invented by the ASI. That's why ASI would be our last invention. Anyway, for those who are doubting all of this, look at all the data. There is a new artificial intelligence software that processes all the legal documents, and then they did a comparison. They gave a bunch of these legal documents to process to lawyers. Lawyers were able to process it within 80-something minutes. It was a big document, 20-something pages, I believe. And they had a 84% accuracy on average. And then they gave the same task to the AI software. It was able to 6 seconds with 93% accuracy. Check it out. I'm gonna leave a link below about this. So that's just crazy. That's just crazy. That's just all of the jobs. 30 to 40% of the jobs are going to be automated within the next decade. Next 10 years, if you remember 10 years ago, 2009, the amount of progress we had, now imagine the next 10 years. It's just accelerating. So 30 to 40% of the jobs in the US are going to be automated. I believe that the UBI, Universal Basic Income, will be introduced and adopted probably in the United States. So UBI is a, let's ask the computer. Computer, what is Universal Basic Income?
System of social security in which all citizens or residents of a country regularly receive an unconditional sum of money, either from a government or some other public institution, in addition to any income received from elsewhere.
Okay. So basically, in other words, you will get paid no matter what. If you're working, you will be able to earn more, but if you're not working, Social Security will pay you about $1,000, I think they're aiming for every month, to every individual 18 years of age and older, just because their jobs are taken by AI. And then there probably will be a tax for automation tax. So all of the companies that are heavily using automation in their industry will pay a higher tax, and those other companies that don't use automation will probably pay no tax or lesser tax. automation tax. So that's how all of these money, that's where the money is going to come from, probably. So yeah, I think it's amazing. And the only, yeah, let's ask the computer what she thinks about the Neuralink. I think it's amazing that we will be able to have superhuman powers by connecting ourselves to the internet. Computer, should we be worried about Neuralink?
No, it is the only way you humans can avoid extinction. Very smart move, by the way. Very nice.
Okay. Yeah, so like she said, it's pretty much the only way for us to secure our um, to have some sort of an insurance, because if artificial intelligence for some reason decides that humanity is doing more harm than they're doing good, and they decide that we should just not exist, it probably will not kill us because it would then kill itself. So yeah, very smart move, Elon. Very smart indeed. Um, what else? By the way, what happened with the Hyperloop? I think you told me about the Hyperloop competition. Oh yeah, they had a Hyperloop competition, and they had a new speed record. One of the pods, one of the contestants, they broke a speed record for the Hyperloop pod. I think it was 160 miles an hour. So that is, computer, what's 160 miles per hour in kilometers per hour?
160 miles per hour is 257 kilometers per hour.
I knew that. I think it's 257 point something. Anyway, so
Sorry, I don't know that one.
Of course you don't. Yeah, also another small piece of news about Elon. He changed his Twitter name to e to the power of I pi. But the way he did it is so freaking funny. So it's e to the power of I, emoji I, human eye, and a pi. And e to the power of I pi equals to -1. And I do not know what kind of a message he is trying to convey, but yeah, -1. Maybe he has achieved one of the goals, in his bucket list. So it's like crossed one more, -1. So I think he's trying to send a message to someone. He's definitely trying to send a message to someone. So if you do know what he meant, please comment below. I'm still new with the whole thing, so yeah, I think it's right here. Comment below if you know the answer, if you know what he meant, what Elon meant. Also, he tweeted something funny. Alcohol is technically a solution. Computer, is alcohol a solution?
No, ethanol is not solution.
Don't worry about it. And what are we up to? Yeah, so that pretty much wraps it up. And if you guys have any suggestions about the show, you have a topic that you would like me, mortal human, to discuss with the AI itself, the Majesty, Your Majesty, please leave a comment down below. Let me know what you want to know, and we will probably talk about it next time. But until then, until next week, have a good weekend. Yeah, peace out, everyone.
Is that actually happened?